they're forced to deal with a situation that's totally alien to anything they've experienced for a majority of their lives. So what we have back here in the city that you're meeting and that seems somewhat saddened is a group of folks who have come back regardless of what the policy has said, regardless of what the environmental folks have said, and regardless of all the other hazardous warnings, and said, because we believe in our community, we're going to come back and we're going to rebuild it. And what you're seeing is not necessarily somebody who doesn't believe in their blackness or the strength of their own individual. It's just the fact that they've been beaten emotionally, mentally, and physically for 2.5 years. And even on this, the most basic of rights, on voting and the right to vote, the right to have access to clinics, the right to have access to schools, the right to be educated, all these things, every facet was hit on us overnight. And our families are not built up around how to rebuild a city. It's built up around how to maintain your family. And when a majority of those family leadership persons died, all of those folks were scattered and now have no means of getting assistance. It's one thing to have an international community say, we embrace your efforts and we're sad to see this and we think if we take a step forward, this will happen. But for 2 years, more than 2 years, people have come from everywhere saying all the stuff they were going to do and all the assistance they were going to give, and we're still basically, a majority of the black citizens of this city, still in the same position we were in 2 years ago, in spite of a lot of efforts. So I'd appreciate any help you can give, but understand you're not seeing black people who have their head down. We have pride and we believe in who we are and we believe in our community, and in spite of all the lack of support and in spite all the stuff they told us we shouldn't do, we went in the other direction because we believe in our community.
Excuse me, Your Honors, although this might be out of order considering I'm a prosecutor, we do need to be mindful we need questions.
Chief Justice, I have a question. I will endorse what you've said because I am asking you to remember the history of voting registration in the South and the deaths we endured and the courage it took to gain that power, and the sprinkling of people in this audience who were linked to that history, and that history empowers us today, and you are an example of it in your struggle. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to just ask one clarifying question. What was the racial composition again of your district?
At the time, before the storm, it was like 70% black and like 30%, approximately 30% white. And now it's probably about maybe 50-50. But then when you look at voter participation and the facts that our minority folks have not been engaged, have become somewhat apathetic to voting, those percentages are deemed a lot lower, because in a district you might have 50% black voter registration, you may only have 15 to 20% black voter turnout, unless it's a major election. And that impairs how the leadership selected and how the vision of the city comes back in line.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Une question.
Oh, I'm sorry. One moment.
Oui, oui, je voudrais poser une question. Oui, alors tout à l'heure, le témoin a dit qu'il y a eu une espèce de clash entre les... c'était pas une question de républicains et de démocrates, mais il y avait entre les blancs et les noirs. Mais je voudrais savoir quelle a été la position du Black Caucus au Congrès américain, et est-ce qu'il a pris en charge cette question, et d'ailleurs, est-ce qu'il prend en charge la lutte pour le droit au retour de nos frères de la Nouvelle-Orléans?
I have a question in relation to the elected officials and what they may have done. The question is, what did you take this case to the Congressional Black Caucus on the issue of voting black rights. What stance have they taken, and have they continued or organized a campaign around these issues?
I have taken it actually 2 or 3 weeks after the storm. I went to Congressional Black Caucus Week and spoke with a lot of representation, and they offered whatever support they could, and they continue to actually help support us for our voting rights initiatives by putting pressure on the local and state government. But one thing I can be very frank with you about is I've been all over this country trying to get assistance for funding to re-register voters that are being purged off the rolls. And what's actually happening systematically, while people are not being allowed to vote, they've targeted, now I think it's at 102 or 120 voters being purged off of the rolls. There's a target audience of 250,000 voters that they want to push off the rolls. And I haven't been able to access any capital statewide or throughout the country to help fund a massive voter outreach. And when I talk about party politics, let me just explain to you how politics runs this country. The U.S. presidential election is being held on the Tuesday that is Mardi Gras Tuesday in New Orleans. Okay? New Orleans has, state of Louisiana's presidential election is being held the Saturday after the major Super Tuesday. So when I talk to Democrats or Republicans about being energized about re-registering voters, they'll say, well, we're going to commit $1 million to try to register a couple tens of thousands of voters, but we just don't see those other numbers as something that's reasonable, seeing that this election is coming after the major presidential election candidate has basically won, because they think it'll be done before it even comes to Louisiana. So I've gotten no support, and I've gone to the nonprofits. I've talked to National Black Participation, Coalition for Black Participation. I've talked to the Hip Hop Summit with Congressman Butterfield's family, Ben Chavis, who organized the Million Man March movement. I've spoken to national leadership about assistance about this very important right that everybody seems to be overlooking. You know, I understand we have to rebuild our houses, our homes, our infrastructure, our water. Everything in the city has to be rebuilt to a certain degree. But everybody's overlooking the voting issue. And that, to me, it's one of the biggest, if not the biggest.
May the witness be excused?
Yes.
Thank you.